Alright guys, I'm just doing a quick video before I go to bed. I got one more day of work before I can go and do anything else. So, what I want to say and go over real quick is I figured out the next deck that I'm going to try and build in real life for Magic the Gathering, okay? So, King Darien has been my thing for a long time, right? What is that? That's a different artwork than I've ever seen of him. But King Darien has been my commander. I've had quite a few commander decks, but he has been the one that I'm most identified with this whole time, right? And I really like my Darien deck because with Darien, I'm able to use. I built the deck in a way that I'm able to get tokens. I can win going wide. I can win going big. I can win doing self damage. I can win by burning my enemies. I can win by destroying lands. Um, there's just a bunch of things that I've been able to do in my Darien deck. I can win attacking into my enemies a little bit, but it's not really a Voltron deck. It's not built to be a Voltron deck. It's mainly just using equipments as a form of protection for him and beefing him up a little bit, making him a 5/5 or a 6/6. Although I have one or two cards that were able to get him to swing in, right? So we're looking around for another commander, and I'd prefer to do mono white because that's the best system that I know. Uh, all right, so I was looking around, and then I found Havar God of Battle, and then specifically we found this card art of him, and I was like, okay, this is something that I kind of like. I like the art style. I like the how it looks. It seems really strong. Creatures you control that are enchanted or encrypt have double strike, and then at the beginning of each deal, you know. But as you know, I don't like building normal decks. So I was looking at this and I was thinking, as a Voltron commander by himself, this is pretty good. But what do Voltron commanders have issues with? They have issues with getting targeted, getting destroyed. You have to get all your equipments out for your character. You have to be getting all this stuff, right? But I was also contemplating a different commander after this one, and I thought, that's an interesting commander. I could use enter the battlefield effects with it over and over again. And I'm not sold yet on enter the battlefield effects or not, but I'm going to keep Halvar, God of Battle, in the deck. I'm going to put him in the deck that I'm going to build specifically because it says creatures you control are enchanted or equipped have double strike. That is the only thing that I care about in this card. This is a game-winning card on its own without it being your commander. So he'll be in the deck. And then the flip side equipment is basically an equipment version of Gift of Immortality. So I'm going to keep him in here because he's twofold good for both of those reasons. Okay? Now, we need probably I'm gonna try and write some things down. So we need 3 to 4 unblockable cards. And I think we're gonna need secret passage, secret bookshelf potentially, uh, master tactician. So we have a recurable creature that we can use. Uh, then I'm gonna want Bastion Protector and Loyal Unicorn. Um, and then I want probably 3 through 5 game-ending cards. So Halvar, God of Battle. We want um hmm, white double strike. It might take me a second to find this. I don't know if there's another option that we can have. Um, Chroma's Will is another one that I want. So we want a Chroma's Will. That's the closest one that I can think of off the top of my head. Um, I can't remember the name of the card for the life of me. It's an enchantment. Um, Eater of Virtue could be a good card as well, but that's only if you have. I don't know if they have to have it on their card text or if they just have to have it when they die for this to take effect. Because if they just have to have the effect when they die, this could potentially be good. Let me look. It has to be in here real quick. So, Ceratops. I don't really want to use a dinosaur, but it does give all your creatures double strike. This is a good card. You get free equips, and then other creatures you can grow get +1/+1 for each reward and equipment. Master, Cathar Crusade. Um, Counter card. This isn't gonna be the easiest deck in the world to build, to be honest. I don't even know if this is doing enchantments. It's I think Audric Lunar Marshal could be one because basically he can give you double strike. So if we're able to get Helvar or anything that gives double strike, potentially it could be useful. I know there's an enchantment somewhere. I keep thinking Path to Bravery, and I know that isn't it. That's pretty good. Knights you control get double strike, but not what I'm looking for. Let me see. Magic the Gathering, mono white, uh, double strike, enchantment. Enchantment plus double strike. That's pretty good. Flaming Fist. Not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the game-ending card. True Conviction. Creatures you control have double strife and lifelink, so True Conviction. Alright. So now we go into the commander. So it's not Halvar. Okay. It's not this guy. Although he will be in the deck, 100%. The name is crap. Let me look at my phone real quick. Name is Livio. So, this is a commander that only costs like 10 cents. Now, you might be looking at this commander and thinking, well, that isn't a Voltron commander. It's a thing that blinks things in and out. Let me explain this. This could potentially be the best deck there is. I just gotta... Okay. So, Livio Oathsworn Sentinel. One, he has the black and red armor style that I like. In a lot of games that I play, I like black and red combinations. He's a mono white commander with partner. Everyone that I've seen play him plays him just as a blink deck or something crazy like that. And it's not very good. It doesn't seem. I mean, it's decent. Okay. He is a human knight, so you could do knight tribal with him if you wanted to. Um, but the real big one here is that you can pay 2, choose another target creature. Its controller may exile it with an Aegis counter, and then you can pay 3 and return all exiled cards with Aegis counters on them to the battlefield under their owner's control. So he is a 2/2 commander. He's able to take cards out of the game, and then he's able to put them all back into the game, which means that he can protect his own board state. He can protect other cards that are vital to the game for you as long as they're a creature. You can use creature cards like Elemental Knight that come in and they destroy an artifact or enchantment, and then you could blink them out and bring them back in. You know, you could do uh, the way I'm looking at this is that this guy, they're using him as a blink commander. I want to use him as a Voltron commander, not because he is going to be the most powerful Voltron commander, but because he has the ability to get all of the stuff in the Voltron out faster. So ramp, Knight of White Orchid. It comes down, boom, you get a land. Then you pay 2, exile Knight of the White Orchid. Next turn you can pay 3, boom, you get another land. You can do that to multiple creatures. You could exile this and exile something else, wait, bring both of them back at the same time, boom, get 2 or 3 lands. Every time you do that, you're pulling lands out of your deck. You're making the deck more efficient the whole way. You're starting with a partner, so you're already having 1 extra card out of your deck at the very beginning of the game, which doesn't seem like much, but it's a little bit. You're going to be able to bump creature removals out of the game, bring them out. You can have this down fighting with it turn 2 as a Voltron commander, all right? And then once you get your board state going, you start removing your creatures off of the board. Then you can go and find, say that the game's getting a little dicey, you go and find a board wipe. You wipe the whole board, then you bring him back for like 4 mana, and then you pay 3 the next turn and bring back all the creatures that you exiled, bringing more lands and stuff back to the game. And then where this really comes into play, I don't remember all the card names or whatever, but for an example, I can't spell or anything. Stoneforge Mystic. Ooh, these are $100 now. That hurts. That doeth hurt. Kind of glad that I got mine when they weren't that. So heavily played, $36. I would get that. All right. But Stoneforge Mystic. When Stoneforge Mystic enters the battlefield, you can search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Okay? Like, you know how big that is. So turn 2, I can put down uh uh Livio, and then the next turn I could put down Stoneforge Mystic, and then I could exile Stoneforge Mystic and then bring it back to the battlefield repetitively and get any equipment that I want out of the deck. I can sit there and search all the equipments that I want out of the deck early, quickly. Okay? And then who would you partner with Livio, okay? Every other deck that I've seen with this guy, because I've been looking at a few decks today, they use like green, black, or other colors, and they move them. We're sticking to mono white. This guy does not need to go out of mono white. All right. And who is it going to be? Well, Kelith, Sun Main Familiar. These two have really good lore because I like my cards having good lore. So Livio apparently, I think is like Marchesa's sort of landed before Marchesa was there. So I think it's probably the same kind of area that Darien was in, but later on into the timeline. But apparently the lords and stuff were fighting each other a whole lot. His dad or whatever killed a whole village and stuff, and he basically threw his title away and started fighting for the common folks. All right, so I like his lore. All right, his lore's good. Then also apparently his lore is that he is one of the best fighters. Okay, does it seem odd to you that one of the best fighters is a 2/2 for 2? His lore is that he's one of the best fighters in the land, and he's a 2/2 for 2. All right? And then Kelith is a legendary horse. Whenever a commander you control attacks, you can put a 1/1 counter on it. All right? And then this is a 1/1 for 2. All right? But the lore with Kelith is that it's basically a horse that randomly shows up on battlefields and stuff and chooses people for greatness, and then it helps them, and then it goes about its way and finds someone else. So whenever a commander you control attacks, you put a 1/1 counter on it. This is a 2-drop, which means together 4 mana. So you could technically play Livio turn 2, then go and play Kelith turn 3, or if you had a mana ramp or something, turn 2 or whatever, you play both of them, and then you swing turn 3, and they're both your commanders, so they're both going to get 1/1 counters. So for 4 mana, you're getting 3/3 damage, but when they attack, you're going 5/5. And then every turn, they're getting a 1/1 counter, 1/1 counter, 1/1 counter. And then you use knights that are like that one knight thing that gives you 1/1 counters. Um, this guy. It's a 4-drop vigilance protection from multicolor. Enters the battlefield, you put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Whenever Basari's Lieutenant or another creature you control dies, if it had a 1/1 counter on it, create a 2/2 White Knight creature token with vigilance. So you could potentially put this down, and when they wipe your commander out, you could still get 3 White Knights from all of those tokens, all right? So the Voltron deck that I'm going to build is that Livio can come early and start doing work, as can the horse. Both of them are 2/2s. They can both be the Voltron commander. They can both do commander damage. They can both come out super early into the game. One of them buffs both of them, and then the other one can search out equipments or get extra value from the early game white cards. So extra land, extra equipments, all that stuff, right? And then what we need to do is you find uh, this is where I'm a little bit split because you can either go like Hero of Blade Hold method. There's quite a few cards like this, but so you could go Hero of Blade Hold where it says it gives everyone a buff whenever this creature attacks, and then whenever it attacks, put a 2/2 1 white soldier creature tokens on the battlefield tapped and attacking. So there's a number of cards. There's even that new one that just came out that gives you 1 soldier attacking each opponent. I don't know if that's the best method or not, because basically, if you do this, you would play these cards for 4, and then what you would do is exile this card. Like maybe you swing him with it for a little bit, but then you would exile the card with Livio's ability, and then you would come back and once Livio dies, you can bring him back, and then bring Hero of Bladehold back, and then equip your Voltron equipments onto the Knights, and then the Knights would attack and make the tokens. And then, so the tokens, if the Knights died, the tokens would be able to pick up the artifacts and win that way. Or conversely, because I'm a little bit split on if like a Hero of Bladehold or something could win just purely from attacking, because I don't know if we're just going to be able to get them to attack. You could do things like Captain of the Watch. All right. What is it? Oh, they made a Mel version. See, I would get this Mel version, but this is a card that I've always liked. I've only ever put it in one deck, and I've never really gotten it to work very well. But Captain of the Watch, Vigilance, other soldiers that you control get +1/+1 and have Vigilance. That alone is fine. Plus, they're getting a buff, so they're going to turn into 2/2s. And then when it enters the battlefield, you put 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield. So you're doing this for 6 mana. You can then exile it for 2 mana, and then you could pay the 3 mana next turn. So you're basically playing the same card for 5 mana, and you're getting 3 more soldier tokens, and this wouldn't require you to attack, which I think might be the safer option. There's like Precinct Captain, there's the new, both of the new female um, commanders that you could use technically. Um, I like these cards because this is different artwork than what the other ones show. If I could get these artworks, I would definitely get this. But Knight Captain of Eos, see, it enters the battlefield, and you can put 2 soldiers on it for 5 mana. So I could use like Knight Captain of Eos and Captain of the Watch and stuff to be a little bit more safe Or I could do like Silverwing Squadron, Knight of Bladehold, that new card that they just put out, both of the new cards that when they attack they make soldier tokens. Now, if I did that, uh, if my Voltron thing ever got, messed up, I wouldn't be able to actually um, attack. That's why I'm kind of split on those cards in particular, because I can't guarantee that I'm going to be like Silverwing Squadron. You could probably get that off, and it also makes 2/2 knights, so it's a little bit better. But like Knight Captain of Eos, the fact that this can come in for 2, or I can bring this in for 5 again and make 2 white soldier creature tokens. And this thing, I can sack a token and then prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn, so it can protect me. And I can use this and reset it or protect this card with my commander, I think is really good. So I think potentially things like that. Originally, the idea for the deck was going to be stuff like Captain's Call. I wanted to basically make the deck with equipments and card draw, and then be able to use sorcery spells like Captain's Call, bring in the tokens, and then just equip the tokens, and then use them as my soldiers, because I'd be basically getting 3 creatures from one card, and that would open up room for me to use other things in the deck for equipments, right? Now, I think if we do things like Captain of the Watch and the other one, it's going to be safer. This also means that if something did happen to my commander, um, and I brought things back from exile, um, if I did like Hero of Bladehold, it would come back from exile, come to the field, and nothing would happen. And then I would have to pay and equip her with all the equipments, and then I would have to attack with her and try to swing through to get tokens. Where Captain of the Night's Watch, like if I had uh, Knight Captain of Eos and Captain of the Watch both exiled, they come in and then they're going to give me 5 tokens. And then when it comes to equipments, um, you want Black Blade Reforged. Okay, this is going to be one that we want. So equipped creature gets 1/1 for each land that you control. And since we're going to be using like Knight of the White Orchard and stuff to pull out lands quickly, and this is a 2 cost, and we can put it on a legendary creature for 3, then technically we could get this out pretty early, and then get out more lands than our opponents fairly early, and then get a big buff on this. And this is also something that can give me a big buff no matter what. So I just stick this on the field. I can put this on a token. It can be like +5, +6, or whatever. And then we want. I have a few of these somewhere, but Penlay Blade. Yeah. Things that I bought a long time ago that I've never used. So Pen and Blade. Equipped creature gets 1/1 for each creature you control. So say like Captain of the Watch comes in, it's a 3/3. It makes 3 tokens. Then I can equip Pen and Blade to it. It's going to get +4. It's going to be a 7/7 just with that. Bessari's Lieutenant. I mean, this one doesn't make tokens, but just putting that blade on it, it's going to make it a 4/5 by itself. Hero Bladehold basically would be a 4/5 by itself, and then when it attacked, it would become a 6/7, which is decent. And then like Knight Captain of Eos, it's going to come down. It'll become a 5/5 for 5. So I think that's what you're supposed to do is you equip these onto these knights that are high mana value, and then it's going to balance out the power level, right? And then you need some recursion and stuff. The other one that I never really got to use very much, but I've always liked cards like these. But so like Commander's Play is going to be like one that I would put in here just for protection. I would put the swords. So probably have the same swords that I use in my Darien deck, but like Commander's Plate, is a really good one. They have a new artwork for that too. I don't know if I would do the Lynch King stuff, but I've always liked cards like this. All right, it's a knightly card. Equipped creature gets 4/4. To end a turn, Haunting Plate Mail becomes a 4/4 spirit artifact creature that's no longer an equipment. Activates ability if you chrono cheese. Like things like this. I mean, it's a 4 cost creature that's a 4/4. Good artwork and stuff, and you can equip it onto something. It's a creeper. It's a creature. You make a token. You stick this on a token. It's now a 5/5 token. Like that's really good. Stuff like this. I want equipments that are fairly powerful on their own, and then you give that token double strike, and boom, you have a 5/5. It's gonna be able to swing in for 10 damage. I think that's really strong, and that's stuff that people are missing out on. So Haunted Plate. Um, the other one though, that's so you'd want Still Forged Masterwork. I have one of these somewhere. Um, this isn't the right thing. This is one of them that I'm going to get, but this is a piece of armor. Equipped creature gets 1/1 for each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it. And that's a 1 drop for equip for 2. Really cheap equipment, very easy to get. But the fact is that even if you use like Call to Arms, right? 3 mana, you summon 3 soldiers, you equip Stoneforge Masterwork with it for 2, and then one of those soldiers becomes um, a 4/4, right? Um, there's another one. I don't remember what it's called. Yeah, Masterwork of Ingenuity. I think there's maybe a couple of these. I have one of these somewhere too, hidden. But enters the battlefield as a copy of any equipment on the battlefield. So you could use this to copy Black Blade, Pen and Blade, the Masterwork. You could use it to copy, the Captain's Plate, or even the other equipment that's a creature, whatever you want. It can't be a legendary, so or copy something that another person has. But this would be really good. But that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you would have 4 or 5 swords. So you'd be having about 10 equipments right here. But the thing is that you're going to have basically the 4 or 5. You're going to have, I think, 4 swords that have 4 different protections on it that were all basically mana ramp stuff. And then you have Amethyst Blade, which would be 5. And then you're going to have uh, Commander's Plate, which would be 6 because that's another protection. Pin and Blade, 7. And then you'd have 8, 9, and 10. So you have 10 total equipments. Each of those equipments would have the possibility of ending a game on its own or making a creature really big, even if it's just a token. And then I would need, probably 10 or so creatures that could produce tokens or something that could produce tokens consistently. Even if I had to use, I would prefer not to have to use like Circle of Loyalty or something, but, mobilization. It's an enchantment that you can dump mana into to produce a bunch of tokens. Uh, even that, what's that other one? Uh, Dawn of Hope. I mean, it's not as good. It's like 1 extra mana to produce 1 token. You spend like 8 mana producing 2 tokens. But I mean, you would be able to say, spend 8 mana, produce 2 tokens, equip a sword to it, and then you have a 3/3 soldier token with a sword. I mean, that's not nothing, you know. Next turn comes around, you produce 2 more. Now it's a 5/5. And then once that 1 token goes down, I mean, you just go equip the equipment on something else. And then other than that, you could just go wide. But so then you need, the mana generation stuff. And then also with mono white, I lean really heavy into lands. So with this deck, you need the unblockable equipment. You need any stuff that makes the creatures unblockable. I want probably 3 to 4 different things. I'm thinking Secret Passage, maybe Secret Bookshelf if that's actually a card. Potentially, I know there's like an equipment that you can get that makes you unblockable. So I mean that's possibly something. But then the Master Tactician, Aldrich Master Tactician would be one I would stick in because he's someone that can use the equipments as well as decide blocks and stuff like that. I think I would also uh, want Godsend in the deck, and you want I don't remember. I think it's Argentum. Argentum armor. Yeah. Yeah. Whenever equipped creature attacks, destroy target permanent, and then it turns into a 6/6. So you can just stick this on a token. Boom, it's a 6/6. You start swinging. Or it'd be a 7/7, and every time it attacks, you destroy a permanent. That's pretty big. All right, you put double strike on it. That's going to be twice as big. Then you do so Godsend as well. Look at this, because I have this in the Darien deck also. Except for it's not going to let me just click it apparently. So equipped creature gets 3/3. So you put this on a token, you'd have a 4/4. Whenever equipped creature blocks or becomes blocked by one or more creatures, you may exile one of those creatures. Opponent can't cast card. Yeah, they can't cast cards with that name. So you know, pretty effective. This is before damage, I believe, as well. So you can instantly just turn a token into a removal by blocking or attacking. So that alone is a really big deal. And then the Argentum armor. Uh, just when it attacks, you can destroy permanent. I believe this is before damage as well. But then when you give them double strike, the Argentum armor is going to be able to activate twice. So you can destroy 2 permanents just with a token by itself. And then if you do Godsend, you're going to be able to attack twice. And then it's going to be able to exile 2 creatures with this. But then with mono white, because I'm gonna showcase you this here. Why I don't use a bunch of mana rocks in mono white is so strionic. This isn't gonna work with the commander because well, it's not gonna work with one of the commanders. All right. Um, because he has mana abilities. I think one of these will work, but uh, with Kelith, these will work with Kelith. So you could potentially double up your counters here. So it's not 100% loss, but it is going to be the best thing. But so Strionic Resignator, I don't see this very often, but I use this in Darien and stuff. And the reason why you use these is because triggered abilities you can pay too. So you use Knight of the White Orchard. It comes into the field. Boom, you get a land. You pay 2, tap this. Boom, you get a second land for 2. And then, say, like next turn, you could bounce Knight of the White Orchard back down, put it back down. Boom, get another land. And then pay 2. Boom, get another land again. But then when it comes to, say, like uh, Argentum armor, whenever he attacks, you're going to get a destroy permanent. If he has double strike, you're going to destroy 2 permanents. And then you can tap Strionic Resignator for 2, copy the effect, destroy a third permanent, or Godsend, you get attacked twice, you get to exile 2 creatures, and then uh, this is also a way to swing in for damage as well. But then you can copy the effect, and boom, you get to exile another creature on top of that. So So each of these you have the potential of exiling 3 to 4 creatures. Because the new one that they just came out with, I forgot what it's called, but um, uh, 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 it's something engine. I know it's a new card. I forgot what it's called. There's a new engine card that. Anyway, there's another card that's similar to Stronic Resignator, so you want both of those in your deck because they can copy the abilities. So in Darian's case, um, he makes tokens. You could potentially use Anointed Procession, but if you have Anointed Procession on the field and nothing else, then it's kind of useless if it doesn't make tokens. So you can use Stronic Resignator, and if you took damage, then you could just copy Darian and make that many tokens again. Or, uh, you know, the other thing is that say you attack with like Sun Titan, pay 2, copy it, bring back 2 creatures. If you attack with any of the swords, you could copy it and activate the ability a second time to say untap your lands or something like that. Um, so there's a lot more that you can do with with those, as far as I know. It doesn't look like these are going to be that expensive either. So I mean, all that's going to be really good. All the money's going to come down to like Stoneforge Mystic. Those are going to be the ones that have a bunch of money dump into it. But basically, you can see like no matter what you have, like if you have Stoneforge Mystic pop up, boom, this is going to be able to get a lot of value off of it. You get Knight of the White Orchard to pop up, boom, you're going to get value off of it with this. You're going to be able to get this and the other commander down and swing and start stacking uh, counters on these early. So, I mean, let's say you get this and then you get the other commander down, like turn 3. You start swinging. These get to be like 5/5s or something. And then you find a card that gives you double strike. And you just swing into your enemies. You're doing 10 damage. And then double strike is going to proc the horse's effect twice. So once that happens, you're going to be getting, uh, so like Kelethir, if you have both of those on the field, you attack, they get double strike, you're going to get 2 counters, and then with Stronic Resignator, you could copy this effect and get another counter on it, which would be big. So you could potentially do lethal fairly quickly with this, but the big benefit is that if this guy is able to get his hands on some sort of equipment search, you're going to be able to use his ability to pull out all of these equipments early onto the field, even though there's only like 10 of these things, you know. And I'd probably add Battle Forge, Battle Axe potentially. I mean, that's something that replicates itself so you can get more card draw. Because you could also do things like Pure Steel Paladin. This is where I'm kind of confused because I'm thinking like 10 things that can get lands on the field, and then you'd have 10 equipments. Then you're going to need, uh, you know, some token generation. So you're probably going to want like 10 token generation cards. That's already 30 something. Then you're going to need removal. So we already have a couple of removal. We want a couple of board wipes. I'd probably do the Elspeth Planeswalkers because they can also make tokens. So I could use those for token generation and I could use them for board wipes, kind of double up there. Um, but you're going to want to have card draw. And you're going to want equipment searches. So it's going to be hard to kind of, I think I got a general idea. If you do 10 of each card, you're gonna do 10 10 land cards because we're gonna have about 35 kind of land and mana rock type things. Um, Also in this deck, use Gauntlet, so it's the same thing as my Darien deck. Uh, Gauntlet of Power, it's a big one. Enters the battlefield, choose a color. Creatures of the chosen color get +1/+1 whenever a basic land is tapped for mana of the chosen color's controller adds one more of that mana. So this is how my Darien deck produces a lot of mana. Um, this also helps you out because essentially, like if we put Knight of the Watch in here, that is a 1/1 buff to our soldier tokens. If we have Gauntlet of Power, that is a 1/1 buff to the soldier tokens. And you would want extra planar lens. Extra planar lens is another one. So this you can basically get rid of land and then you can produce twice as much. And then the other one I believe is Caged Sun. So this is creatures of the chosen color get +1/+1, and then whenever land is tapped, you add one more of that land value, right? So this is what I use in Darien. So you get 3 cards that double the amount of mana that you get from land. So a lot of times you'll play like Knight of the White Orchid, and this is in the Darien deck, you just play that. And then I had multiple cards that you just put down, like Solemn Simulacrum or Burnished Heart. You put them down, you get 3, 4, 5 lands. You get a couple extra lands. And you run across Cage Sun, you put it down for 6 instead of summoning Darien, and then all of a sudden your mana doubles next turn to 12. And then at that point you're kind of winning in the mana game. And the best thing they can do is destroy your Cage Sun. But what this does is like just with these mana buff things, they buff your mana, but they're also buffing your creatures. So just with Cage Sun and Gauntlet of Power, your tokens are 3/3s, which is a big deal. And then like any night tokens are going to be 4/4s. You know, so that alone is a big deal. And then if you get a double strike card on top of this, because you could like Cage Sun and then get 12 mana and then play a double strike card and whatever, and you'd be good with that. But I also want to have a couple of probably at least 2. I'm thinking um, things like Coupe de Grace. I'm probably going to add into the deck as a board wipe. That's not it. Uh, de Grace. Coop, the Grace, white. Is it this? Yeah. So Marshall Coop. So it's 2 and then whatever you want to pay into it, and you create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens, and if X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures. So say you got like 4 or 5 lands down, you get like Cage Sundown, you get 12 mana, you pay 2, you make 10 tokens here, you destroy all other creatures, and you have 10 tokens on the board. But I want something like this and something like deploy to the front. I was tempted to use these instead of creatures at first to actually get tokens on the field. But these are spells that I've always liked. And one of the first couple of commander decks that I used to play used these. I think it was Rise the Redeemed. And I really liked it because you could just pop down, produce like 20 tokens, and then tap Rise, double your tokens in one turn. And just swarm the board. But say like deploy to the front, 7 mana, put X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens on the battlefield where X is the number of creatures on the battlefield. So you have like deploy to the front, and you have let's say there's 4 people playing in the game. Um, y'all each have 2 creatures apiece or something. And you have deploy to the front for 7 mana, and you got like Stoneforge Masterwork on the field. You play the 7, then you summon what would it be 8? Yeah, you put 8 tokens down, and then you would equip one of the tokens with your thing, and it becomes an 8/8. Well, it would become a 9/9, right? But I don't want too many of these because like deploy to the front wouldn't be too bad. Um, I'm thinking about like Allegiance. Alliance, maybe that's it. That's another commander I was wanting to do a long time ago because it had flanking. Oh, Alliance of Arms. So this is 1 mana, but then starting with you, each player may pay any amount of mana, and then they put X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens on the battlefield. So this isn't necessarily the best, but I say I could get 12 mana or something fairly early into the game, and then I could just dump 12 mana into this, and everybody gets 12 tokens. But then I have like Penlay Blade or something, I get a 12/12 creature, something like that. But if I'm able to get double strike or anything on my creatures or be able to control who blocks what, then this would be in my favor still because they would get the same tokens as me, but they wouldn't have the same damage as mine. So that could be good. Pretty cheap. I think Decree of Justice. It's like one of the old cards I remember. So like this, toss 4 and then double mana, but you can put 4 X 4/4 white angel creature tokens, or you can cycle it for 3. And when you cycle Decree of Justice, you pay X. If you do, put X white creature tokens into play. So you pay 3, you have 12 mana, you get 9 tokens out of this one card, and then you have a Penlay Blade or the Stoneforge Masterwork, and you're getting a 10/10 token on the battlefield. I mean, this is a pretty big. But the issue that I'm going to have in the deck is balancing it to where, because you want like Stoneforge Master, or you want Stoneforge Mystic, you want the cards that are going to be able to search up your equipments and stuff. And I want like Pure Steel Paladin, Shran, the stuff that can give you card draw when you play equipments would be good. But I also want separate card draw that I could just use to draw what I want. If I do that, it's going to probably take up too much room in the deck, so we're going to have to figure out that. But I think it's going to be really, could be probably the best Voltron deck. I can't see it being bad at all. Like, I don't see how, like, a commander that can double or triple the amount of equipments that you can get out at one time, and it can also come out turn two. Like, you're going to be able to get this out turn two probably every game. Both commanders turn two, you know, and instantly start ramping them up. If you get one equipment on them after that, you're already crushing most players, you know. You don't even need the tokens or anything at that point. Like, all you have to do is just attack with those two and then find your equipment searches, so you don't really even need the token generation. So if you wanted to play them purely Voltron, you could, and then just stick additional creatures in the deck that are powerful. So that's what you could do with Knight of Blade Hold and all that stuff, is that you could just stick those in there instead of having to use his effect. And then basically, you exile those guys, and then once he gets weak again, then you just bring them back in and then Voltron with those and attack the people with those guys. But it seems like you could potentially have your creature get stopped by something really big, and then you wouldn't be able to use the effect. So I'm a little split on what would be the best option. Probably better just to have both, but I really want to be able to use the spells, because so like, say early you're able to get ramp going with this guy and like Knight of the White Orchard, and you get a bunch of mana on the field, and then you go and get a Caged Sun, or you get one of the swords that untaps all your lands. So like you enter combat. Well, I guess it ends at phase. Yeah, it probably ends at your phase. You get like a Caged Sun. You drop like 12 or 9 soldiers at the very beginning of the game onto the field, and you have like a Penlay Blade that you either put on a token or you put on your commander. You swing in, you have like unblockable from like the bookshelf or something that you can do. Swing in and just smack somebody. And then, they get rid of your commander at some point, and then later on down the road, you have like Halvar God of Battle just pop out of your deck for 4. You drop them down, equip them, and just start going to town. But maybe I'm crazy. I think it's going to be a good deck, though. I think this is going to be the first Voltron that I'm going to put together that's actually going to work well. But I think it's going to be good because you're going to have the 2 commanders, but that can instantaneously start ramping up damage at the very beginning of the game and ramping up mana and everything else that you'd want. And then uh, I'm going to be able to search out the equipments a lot easier as long as I'm able to get my hands on. So, like, Recruiter of the Guard or something like that that can search out Stoneforge Mystic. All I need is the cards that can search out those cards. Anything that can search out an equipment. Maybe even if I got that knight dude that he has to get renowned and then he can search an equipment out, then you could blink him. You could exile him and then bring him back, I guess. I don't know if he would come back with his renowned or not, but if he didn't, then you could blink him out, bring him back in, or even like kill him off and resurrect him or something. But Yeah, you just do that and you start pulling all your equipments out really early into the game, and then by the time you get to like Halvar or something, you're gonna be pretty set. I mean, you could potentially put all of the Voltron White Commanders in this deck if you wanted to, and not even run the token generation. Just bring all the strongest Voltron Commanders, set them in there, and then just equip them. But I'm gonna have at least 2 to 3 cards that are gonna give double strike. So Halvar is gonna be one that can do double strike. Um, a Chroma's Will is gonna be a 1-turn double strike. Um, Audric is going to be kind of iffy because basically he's going to be able to give somebody else double strike if one of my creatures have double strike. He could give it to everybody. So like Halvar, if he was on the field and Audric, then they could all have double strike and it would be good. But True Conviction is the one that I use in Darien, you know. So like the reason I use those cards though is like in Darien I use True Conviction as like an alternative form of life gain instead of a Soul Sister. It's also really good for offense because you get double strike, so it's really good. But it's also good for defense, and that's the big weakness with Voltron is like you put all your stuff on your commander, and then he gets picked off, or like something happens to him, and then you don't have anything left in the tank. Whereas like if I can at least produce tokens, I'll probably be okay. And even like Knight of the White Orchard, he's a 2/2, but he has first strike. So as long as I can get like a Pinlay Blade on him and some tokens or something around, like he's going to be able to hold or at least do something, you know. But I think this is going to be the idea for the deck. I think it's going to be pretty good. Um, but after that, I'm probably going to hop off for a little bit. I got one more day of work, and then we can start going back on some of this. I'll try to put a deck list together. Um, and then I'll try to play some arena at some point. I can't build this deck in the arena, but I can build a deck with Halvar, God of Battle in arena, so it should be good.